The i3 was and continues to be a budget-friendly CPU ever since 2010, often used in builds for its high value to price, usually being within $150 brand new. But unlike other reviewers, I'm not going to be comparing the evolution of its performance, no, but rather the boxes they come in. A quick video disclaimer, don't buy CPUs or anything expensive based on how the box looks, that's dumb. Onward to the video. So to start off, we have to talk about the technicalities. For example, both the second and third gen i3 boxes have the same exact design, basically meaning that they're under one box. This goes the same way for 6th and 7th gen as well. You might be seeing 8th and 9th gen thinking that they're also the same, but we'll talk a bit about that later. So now that we have all of them lined up, let's get started. Starting off with the first i3 box, the i3 530's box is very simple, mostly made up of Intel's classic blue gradient. The box is designed with the top right having a very clean silicon pattern, which is believed to be the same silicon pattern as the Westmere architecture. The image of the sticker for the i3 is also above the dual-core desktop text. There are other texts on the box talking about Intel's warranty and other features of the CPU, which I believe makes it a tad bit worse. What I could assume Intel was going for in this box design is maybe that they were advertising Intel as a CPU brand as a whole. Intel kept it clean, and I can respect that. Next up, on Intel's second generation of boxes, the i3-2100's box changes things up a bit. The CPU silicon pattern is moved from the top right to the middle in a flat S-like shape instead. In similar fashion to first gen, the box is also replicating the sticker design. And this sticker design is moved to the top left of the CPU box this time around. One thing to point out is that this box design is used on both second and third gen Intel CPUs. Probably a missed opportunity considering they could have used Ivy Bridge's architecture on third generation boxes, but hey, you gotta save a buck somewhere. Intel's fourth generation is a major step up. Now the front is framed with the silicon pattern moving back up to the top right in a cleaver knife shape instead. The top third of the box is solely reserved for the CPU information, the rest being stock images of a frame, bulletin board, and a very brainy looking statue underwater. This time around, instead of Intel's classic blue gradient, it seems that they're using a solid blue color instead. I guess this is better than second and third gen, but compared to others, I wouldn't say it's as clean. When it comes to Intel's 5th generation, they don't exactly have one for an i3, so we're going to be skipping to 6th and 7th gen. Personally, I think this is where the box design peaked. I find something very satisfying with seeing the blurry light stretching in the background. And now, it's only the Core i3 being shown in the front with a bit of text in a clean white font. This time, I think Intel is trying to advertise the fact that this is an i3 rather than just being an Intel processor. Although 7th gen's box design is the same, I'll give it an exception just because of how good it is compared to others and, well, how it isn't very generation specific this time. There's a reason why 8th and 9th gen are separated, so pay a bit of attention, there's two details you want to look out for. This time around, the Core i3 text is in this nice blue gradient, and instead of light beams in the background, we get these purplish waves instead. You might not be able to see it, but on the bottom right of the box there are a bunch of dark lines, adding a bit more detail to the box. Aside from that, the box is really clean and easily makes my top 3. Alright, take a good look at it while you can as we go to 9th gen. Alright, so what's the difference between the two boxes? Well, on 9th gen, on the top left, the text saying Intel Core i3 desktop processor is now gone from boxes, making it much more cleaner. As well as that, if you look close enough, 9th gen's box is actually much brighter than the 8th gen's. Aside from that, I think they're both still the peak of Intel's box design. This is where it all goes to shit. I don't know who they're going from to was a good idea. If I were a good 5 bananas away from this box, I wouldn't have noticed the background of the box art waves instead of another gradient. And squares. I cannot describe these squares other than the non-existent word computery. At least this time around, they decided to keep the big, bold Core i3 in shiny silver, but still a bad box overall. This is where Intel pulls a Firefox. The text has the Core and i3 separated with the i3 now being on the top right of the box. It can be interpreted that Intel is trying to advertise the Intel Core series more, and the i3 is just a variant. Now, this can only be seen when you have the box in person, which I've only seen locked up in Micro Center's shelves, but the color is almost as dull as the Comet Lake refreshes. I guess it's clean, but too simple to my liking. Trust me, the 10105's color is not that saturated at all. If anything, it's quite the opposite. When it comes to 12100 in person, from what I've seen, the color is much better. The only noticeable real difference is the generation text being moved from the bottom left to the top right. Not exactly too representative as the massive gains this generation brought to the market, but oh well. As of February 2023, Intel recently released their 13th gen lineup of CPUs, and nothing much changed with this generation either. The i3 in the background of the square it is in became inverted, and the generation text moved back to the bottom left. Better than 12th gen, but in my opinion, it doesn't live up to the design of 6th and 7th gen's boxes. Alright, so now that we've seen all the boxes, let's go rank them all. For me, personally, first place I would definitely put 6th and 7th gen, mainly because of how clean it is. And, well, like, look at that thing, it's pretty good. Second place is 9th gen because of how brighter it is and how you can see the details on the box. And, well, of course, third is 8th gen because of how good the box is in the first place. Coming in 4th is 13th gen because 10th could have been so much more better, and honestly, anything before 6 is good, but I mean, comparing, say, 4th gen to 13th gen, I think 13th takes the crown here. Of course, 5th would end up being 4th gen, 6th for me is 2nd and 3rd gen, 7th is 12th gen, 8th is 10th gen, 9th is 1st gen, and coincidentally for me, 10th is the 10th gen refresh. So that's my top 10 list of Core i3 boxes. Some y'all might not agree with, but that's just how it goes. Now of course, who am I to say which boxes are good or not good boxes? And you're right. So I designed a custom 12th gen box. Another editor note here, 13th gen came out in the making of this video. It ain't much, I just took an image of the Ultra Lake CPU core silicon, colored it a nice deep blue, and Control-C plus V'd it on all sides except for the top and bottom. Similar to 6th and 9th gen, nice. I put the core in the Core i3 on a 90-degree angle with the i3 in a big bold font. Of course, there's the usual stuff as well, such as the modern Intel logo on the bottom right and the 12th gen text on the bottom left. So that concludes the video. I hope you all enjoyed, and thank you for watching. Don't spend 4 hours in an afternoon learning how to use Blender. It was not worth it. See you next time.